Hey everyone, my name is Alex Haney. Welcome to my channel, the place for outdoorsy queers to connect and share. So it's Tuesday again, which means it's time for our backcountry chat. And this week we're talking about securing your food from animals in the backcountry. I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite methods that I use with you, and I also want to hear from you guys about what you do, what has worked, what hasn't worked. If you have any stories about times when your food was compromised, I'd love to hear about that. So I've actually never had my food stolen by an animal in the backcountry, and mostly I attribute that to keeping a clean camp and also not camping in places that aren't clean, that are trashed by other campers, so bears might come to that site or whatever. Because I do use several different methods. I don't just do one thing. It really depends on what type of trip it is again. So method number one would be hanging my food, and I tend to do this mostly when I'm backpacking, and especially when I'm solo backpacking. I like it. It's only a couple days, it's easy to get the food up there. It seems to work really well for me. Again, I've never had a bear or raccoon or anything steal my food with this method, and I'm not going to do a tutorial on it, but I will link a video here to a tutorial on this method if you want to go check that out. The method that I like to use is called the Pacific Crest Trail, or PCT method. The only thing that I don't like about that is that it is pretty time consuming. It's not my favorite method, but it is very lightweight for backpacking, and it works really well. In Ontario, where I live and do most of my camping, the things that we're trying to protect our food from are mostly black bears. Raccoons is a huge one, probably even more, actually definitely way more than bears, and chipmunks and other small rodents like that. But I do also do some camping out in the Rockies, and for that it's kind of a whole another ball game because we got grizzlies out there. I actually want to show you guys something new that I want to try out this year called an ursack, and I actually put it in here. So this is an ursack. I just got it for my hike in the Rockies later this year. Basically what it is, if you haven't heard of it, it is like a bear-proof bag. Like a grizzly bear cannot bite through this thing. You tie like a certain knot in this, and then you tie the bag to something sturdy like a log or whatever, so the bear can't carry it off. So they can crush your food and stuff like that, but they can't get into it. I'm pretty excited to try this, and it also, when I asked about it on a camping group, people suggested that I get this thing, which is an OP Sack Odor Barrier Bag by Locksack, and apparently this thing is like thousands of times more odor-proof than regular old plastic. And I think I might even start using that when I just do, if I ever do the regular hangs again, but I feel like I might just fall in love with this method because I do find it a huge pain to find a branch and deal with all that stuff. Okay, so if I'm going on a canoe trip though, I have hung food on a canoe trip before, but it's really not my preferred method. And actually the thing that kind of inspired me to make this video in the first place is that I recently saw this YouTube video by these two legendary canoe trippers, Kevin Callan and Cliff Jacobson, and they're basically in a hotel room debating whether you should hang your food or not. And Kevin Callan is very pro hanging your food, and Cliff Jacobson is like, no serious outdoorsman ever does that. I don't know, I can see points on both sides, but I'll just tell you that on my canoe trips, I tend to bring these barrels, and I don't hang them. And yes, bears have ripped these things open in the past, I'm well aware of that, but it has never happened to me. And I do know of people who hang these things in the trees, but and no judgment here. I just feel like if I'm going to be bringing this thing, kind of the point of it is that I don't have to hang my food, you know what I mean? If I was going to hang my food, then I wouldn't bring like a 6 to 10 pound barrel to hang it in. It just makes it so much more difficult. If the bear is going to go through the trouble of getting up in the tree and getting that thing down, then it's going to rip the barrel open. Basically, what I do with the barrel instead of hanging it is that I just keep my camp clean so there's no odors attracting things to the camp. Then I carry this thing back in the woods and yeah, just hide it in the bushes or whatever. Another thing that I have done on canoe trips though that I am actually a fan of is something called bear canoe. And basically what you do is you need 2 canoes for this method. Basically the idea is that you put all of your food in the canoe and you take 2 canoes out. So you drag the one canoe and you anchor the one canoe full of food out in the lake, you know, a decent distance away from shore. And you also tie one end to the shore as well. So it's anchored out in the lake, all your food is in there, then hopefully, you know, that's just another deterrent for animals, yeah. And to me, that method makes a lot more sense for canoe trips than hanging your food. I want to hear stories of your successes, your failures, what worked, what didn't, that kind of thing. I hope you guys liked this chat this week. If you're following along with my newest series, the 2 Trans Guys 4 Days 100 Kilometers series, episode number 2 is coming out this Thursday, so be sure to come back then to check that out. And I'll see you again next week. Bye.